Hey, Internet, come on in, pull up a chair, grab your coffee, come enjoy your coffee like I am right now. And let's talk about Puppet Master 2 from 1990. I can tell you after rewatching all of these in preparation for the finale week this week, I only like the first two. Because we'll get into it when we get to 3, 4, 5, but these are the only two that have the story that it started with, and then they say, fuck everything you were doing, and a different studio decided to do something different. Oh boy. But before we get into that, thank you over to W Energy for sponsoring the Oddcast and this little series and things that we do. We appreciate you. Go over to W and go use code ODDCAST, save yourself extra money off, and they're always running deals so you can get yourself a tumbler and then extra flavors, explore the universe with W, alright? Because they got plenty of stuff, so go check it out. But anyway, so last ended, Puppet Master ended, Alex going his merry way and Megan revived a dead dog. And part 2, they decide, you know what, there's some more lore to this hotel, because why the fuck not? And we get Pinhead digging up a grave. What grave, you might ask? Well, it's the grave of Andre Toulon, the original Puppet Master, who, for some reason, this hotel apparently just has a fucking graveyard on site. And they dig his ass up. And they dump in a bunch of liquid, and apparently coming back from the dead changes a man quite a bit, as we'll see later. But after a lengthy title card and credit scroll, as all these movies have, we meet our main cast of characters, who are a group of paranormal investigators. They're led by Carolyn and Patrick Bramwell, a brother and sister combo. First time for that. Not lovers. Surprising. But they do have the lovers on their team, Lance and Wanda. They're a very flirty pair, they are. But they're breaking into the Bodega Bay Inn, the hotel of this entire series, or at least these first 5. I have to rewatch the other ones to remember exactly what happens. But for the first 5, the Bodega Bay Inn, that we later learn Megan was fucking murdered. We'll say this movie takes place about a year after the events of the first movie. They don't really specify how long ago all of that happened. But Megan was murdered. And Alex was sent to an insane asylum because he was blamed for the murder. Because turns out watching your best friend get murdered by dolls, but also he killed himself and came back to life and sent you a bunch of fucked up psychic images. Apparently that does some damage, so he's kind of in an insane asylum. Poor Alex. But anyway, who would have fucking thought? But the group ends up setting up their equipment to catch any paranormal activity in the hotel, because they've been sent by they're paid by the federal government. It's a whole thing they talk about. They're like a paranormal, I don't know, like a paranormal fucking chapter, but their funding's running low. But anyway, Carolyn finds a journal about the hotel owner, Megan, her ancestors who started the hotel, and we get, again, just more lore about this place that, wasn't a thing in the first movie. But they're like, it was built on land that they believed was like a gateway to the other side. And it was built with a ton of passageways as a means to let spirits guide their way through. I don't fucking know. They really feels like they just said fuck it and just started making things up. But anyway, they hear a smash and they go run and check, and it looks like a vase was tossed off a pedestal across the room. Spooky. But we end up cutting. We're introduced to Camille Kenny, a psychic of the group, and she's running a little bit late, and she ends up on the wrong road, and she goes up to a little farmhouse that's nearby. And they're putting up an electric fence, and they talk about, all our livestock keep having their brains Satan's taken out. It's real fucking weird. But don't go to that hotel. They say Satan has a hold on it. Satan! Really, really emphasized that Satan apparently has something to do with that hotel, which is not true at all. It's actually, well, we'll find out who the demon thing is in like 2 more movies, and then it won't really matter. And again, I'll get into it when we get to 3, but they change everything. It gets completely retconned. But anyway, back at the hotel, the team's all set up on their cameras and they start testing. And this is where they talk about like, oh, we're government funded, but that funding's running low, man. And Camille gets there and she's complaining about whatever. So they're like, here, let's go make you some tea. It'll be fine. But we get a glimpse of a secret room that the resurrected Toulon is in, and we see some flashing lights to indicate that he's doing something, because we hear him chanting. But the next day, everyone's checking out, the different areas. They have the equipment and making sure this, that, and the other. Fucking Patrick is outside checking out the cemetery that, again, it didn't exist in the first movie. But he sees the grave marked Toulon. And back later that night, we cut back inside, and that's when he's talking to his sister, and she's all like, yeah, Megan died, she had her brains scooped out, and he's like an ancient Egyptian ritual? Like, it's a whole thing. They really hammer that home. But they do kind of like fuck up their own timeline, because they talk about, happened 15 years ago, he blew his brains out, and I, as a person who just watched the first movie, I had to sit there going, this is 1990, that did not happen in the 1970s. I'm sorry to break it to you, but Toulon fucking blew his brains out in 1939. So, like, somebody should, like, Jesus Christ, just double check your writing there. I caught it. Go fuck yourself. But later that night at dinner, they're all talking about how Megan had no heirs to the hotel, so went to the state. And Alex, he suffers from mass hysteria and schizophrenia, and they interviewed him off screen earlier, before we got here. But he was the only one who knew Megan, and was the last one to see her, so he got tried for the murder, but he was deemed too insane, so he's living out his life in fucking insane asylum. But Patrick gets real drunk, and he makes fun of Camille, and she leaves the table all upset, much like what happened with the first movie, someone making fun of the other one. But don't worry, because then we cut back to Toulon, who's making a new puppet named Torch, who we'll see again later. Yeah, Toulon isn't so innocent now. Like, he's purposely building one that can kill someone. So, like, he went from, like, I won't let anything happen to you. You're my children. You're all innocent. To now he's just like, I need to make a murder machine. It's just like, fuck it. He's just making a murder bot. But anyway, downstairs, Patrick and Carolyn discuss the events of Toulon's suicide, and the whole Alex was saying... Basically, Alex talking about his experience with the hotel and what happened, and then she's starting to question, like, I don't know, maybe there was something that happened here, blah blah. I don't want to just write him off as crazy. But that gets interrupted when Camille freaks out, saying that she saw some crazy dolls and she needs to get the hell out of there because blah blah blah. But all they find is... They just find some, like, rag dolls, like Raggedy Ann's, and they're like, is this what you're talking about? Ooh, real spooky, fucking crazy bitch. But she plans to leave the hotel. But the puppets, they were given other instructions. And in the morning, the group finds her stuff, but obviously she's missing. So they make a call to her son, and he's all like, yeah, she sometimes goes to a special ashram. If she gets too overwhelmed, she likes to run off there. Don't worry about it. And that night, Patrick's enjoying some nighttime wine He's all in bed. He's just relaxing. Lance and Wanda are flirting it up at the monitors. But Lance should have been paying a little bit more attention because he catches something on the monitor a little late and has to rewind it. And turns out Tunneler is going to go pay Patrick a little room service. And they run over to Patrick's room and they're like, something's coming in. Like, we got to help him. But he's busy giving Patrick a real headache. Yeah, did you enjoy that? Yeah, fuck you, I can make jokes and shit too, you sons of bitches. But anyway, Lance throws him off and beats the shit out of Tunneler with a lamp, which for some reason stops him. Like in the first movie, it didn't really seem to matter what you do. Like they kind of just get up and go, which we'll see later in this movie. Like they can take a beating and keep going, but for whatever reason, Tunneler's just like, all right, I'm done. I'm done. But Carolyn makes everyone go away, so Wanda and Lance go. But downstairs, they start dissecting the puppet and trying to figure out what the hell this thing is. And they find it's just got a lot of gears in it. It's made of wood. There shouldn't be anything that's causing that. And it's got a weird fluid on the inside that, when they run it through their system, looks like it's like a circulatory system, which is real weird. And they start looking back at the footage, and they're like, but it moved and acted like it could hear. Weird. But don't fret, gang, because in the morning we get Dr. Jack Griffin. I mean the Invisible Man. I mean Toulon himself, but he calls himself Eric Charney. And any of you who just got that whole joke there, thank you. I appreciate you. But anyway, he says not to mind his appearance, but it's really fucking hard to do that. Also, he's a rotting corpse, so I imagine he's got a pretty foul fucking odor that nobody seems to mention. But anyway, he gives a really convoluted reason and informs them that the property's his. And, he just lies a lot.
The hotel was left to me at the demise of its unfortunate owner.
There are no records.
I distrust public records.
We do not. And there are quite a few to back up the government's claim on this property. You'll have to come up with some proof.
Where you been all this time, Cheney?
In Bucharest.
Yes, don't pay any attention to what I look like. I am only here for the hotel. But he leaves them and he heads back up to his secret room and, tells them, don't go into my quarters. And the group argues, who the fuck is this guy? Like, we gotta look into this. Like, at least they're smart, and they're like, we gotta double check this guy. Like, there's gotta be, like, something about this. Like, fuck that. We need to double check who the fuck this creep is. But then, turns out another person's showing up, and it's Michael, who's Camille's son. And he's like, yeah, I figured I'd just kind of step in and help, because she took off on you, and I feel bad. And if she comes back, then I can have a talk with her. But we cut back to the local farm home anyway, and they get a not-so-friendly visit that night from the puppets. And the wife wakes up, her husband's getting fucking brain surgery from Leech Woman. I don't think she's really qualified to do that. But she's gonna defend herself, goddammit, and she grabs that shotgun, and she burns Leech Woman by throwing her into a wood stove, and she thinks she's good. But hey, look, it's Torch! Oh, no, it's Torch.
You may think you've got the powers of hell on your side, but you don't know who you're dealing with.
That scene literally burned in my brain. That scene was on a movie channel once. That was my first ever experience with Puppet Master. Was that woman being burned to death by Torch. It was my first ever anything Puppet Master. And it lives rent-free in my brain. But anyway, we cut back to Toulon's lab where we hear him explaining that they're all going to get back to normal and they'll be at full strength. And he knows that they're all weakening. They've been without him for so long. And we learn that he needs the brains to make his special serum that brings them all to life and brought him back to life. And then he gets real mad at Blade and Torch because they kind of cooked the brain that he needed. And this is no good. This is cooked. God damn you. I need something other than animal brains to make this, but it's almost there, my children. So yeah, that's like a whole thing, and then he's gonna make him strong again once he makes more fluid. We also learn that Carolyn looks a hell of a lot like his dead wife, and the madness takes hold, and we get a flashback to 1912, where Toulon was doing a specialty stringless puppet show for the children of Egypt. But a guy ends up burning his set with his, like, psychic abilities, I guess. I don't know, he's fucking Firestarter from Stephen King. Just, I don't fucking know. But forces him to go talk to the guy. And then the guy's like, I can make those puppets actually be working on their own without all the strings. But gonna have to make a deal. If you know what I mean, I will make the deal. If it means me and my wife can continue our puppet show. And then we cut back to present. Carolyn and Michael discuss, looking for clues about his mom. Why did she go off? What the fuck's going on? But they run into Toulon, and he gives a vague threat about riding the motorcycle. No, better be careful on your motorbike there. Don't want you to fall off and get hurt. Or you, Mr. Michael, getting mangled beyond recognition, yes. Yeah, and then they're both like, wow, that guy's fucking weird, huh? Like, just the one time where they're just like, that guy is kind of fucked up. But then we cut to a family who's camping out in the woods, and a little kid who, I just want to say, who the fuck gives a child a fucking, bull whip? Who the fuck gave this kid a whip? I don't give a fuck if he's a fan of Indiana Jones or not, like he says he is. This kid doesn't deserve a whip. And then he's just beating the shit out of a G.I. Joe. I don't even understand this kid. But don't worry, because he gets an off-screen death by torch.
I'm the director. Do what I say. Move! Can't you get up? Come on, do something. Now! Come on! Is that all you can do?
And back at the hotel, Carolyn finds Toulon's lies, because they go to the records and they find that his whole thing doesn't exist. Of course it was fabricated. And they think that he might be involved with the mother's disappearance and her brother's death, and they start to ponder that. But back inside, Toulon finds the puppets are making more liquid all on their own. Oh, I'm so proud of you. With this potion, we will not only be able to restore you and give me new life, but I can finally be with my Elsa. Because he plans to somehow bring Elsa back from the dead within Carolyn. The madness is really setting in on this man. Boy, coming back from the dead really scrambles a few things, huh? So Carolyn keeps trying to solve the puppet mystery, but she gets sent off for some alone time with Michael by Wanda, who's just like, you shouldn't be staring at those computer screens all night. He's got a bottle of scotch. He could use a little company. So yeah, they set those two up, and they hit it off. They hit it off all right. But of course, their little dancing time with the record player gets interrupted by Toulon with a whole, may I have this dance? Oh, you're so pretty tonight. Oh, ho, 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 ho. And of course, Michael's like, yeah, you're fucking creepy as shit, bro. And also, you smell like a dead body. So, can I just step in? Can I just, maybe go take a bath, man? Those bandages, I don't know what's going on there. But, you got problems. But this doesn't make Toulon feel very good. So he breaks the fucking records and shuts everything off and goes, oops. And then just fucking leaves. But then we cut over to the puppets bringing Toulon more brains, and he's continuing to make his potion, and he tells them that tonight's the night and that everyone must die except Carolyn. He wants her alive because he's going to bring back Elsa. And we cut to Wanda and Lance because Michael and Carolyn, they go get it on. And while that's happening, Wanda and Lance were getting it on, and find that, Wanda's all like, yeah, that's cool, but, this isn't really a thing. We're not really a thing, so, I'm gonna go check on Carolyn because I kind of left her alone. And I'm kind of, want to make sure she's okay. And Lance ridicules her, like, come on, you better go check on her, blah, blah, blah. She walks away, which is unfortunate because Blade comes in and kind of bye to Lance. And then he also gets Wanda, too. Yeah, so much for that. Yeah, they're both dead. But anyway, back at the other bedroom, Carolyn decides to leave Michael, who's sleeping, and she's gonna go snoop into Toulon's room. But she's confronted by Toulon, because she ends up finding the life-size dolls that he's made for them to be in. Oh boy, madness has really set in for that man. And meanwhile, Torch decides to pay Michael a visit, and he narrowly escapes turning into fucking barbecue. And then he races off to go find Carolyn. And in the lab, Toulon reveals his plan is to transfer their souls into these life-size dolls, because he's his reincarnated wife, Elsa. And she's all like, that's fucking crazy. That's not even possible. How do you know what is possible, you dumb bitch? Let me reveal my dead body to you.
Puppets. They knew how to bring me back after the Nazis killed my Elsa. They needed me. They were growing weaker. And they used the last of their fluid to revive me. But then I saw you.
So yeah, he reveals to her that he's a fucking walking corpse and that the puppets brought him back to life after like fucking 40 years in the ground, 50 years in the ground, whatever the fuck. I don't know, it's just goddamn. And Michael, he has to keep fighting a bunch of puppets, and Carolyn continues to argue that she can't possibly be Elsa, and Toulon, he's just fucking insane at this point. He doesn't fucking care. But of course, he gets himself into his puppet body by slitting his throat and pouring his blood down the mouth of the puppet after ingesting some of his potion. And then he tells her it'll be mostly painless, and he's gonna do the same to her, but Michael busts in, and then the puppets, once again, like the first movie, because he didn't use the potion for them, so the puppets decide they're gonna use the potion them fucking selves, and they put a stop to their master. Yeah, like, goddamn. We did end up seeing that the puppets used it on the dead mother, Camille. And for the ending of this movie, after it's all said and done, everyone's leaving the hotel, and they're like, man, that was a fucked up night, right? Like, Torch fucking burned the place, like, burned his master, whatever. But we find that there's a new master, and it's the puppet-bodied Camille. Who makes them a traveling puppet act again.
All right. Don't rattle your cage. We'll be there soon enough. The Balduston Institute for the Mentally Troubled Tots and Teens. Good therapy for the little brats.
Oh yeah, that's Puppet Master 2 from 1990. You know, Toulon went from like a kind-hearted dude who didn't want the puppets to be with the Nazis because whatever to like, he just went fucking batshit insane coming back from the dead apparently. But tomorrow we'll be covering over Puppet Master 3 on our continuing of our finale week. And I gotta be honest with you, I don't like 3, 4, 5. I just don't. They completely retcon everything with 3. There's even a movie that's technically in between all of them called Revenge of the Puppet Master, but like, I didn't include that one, cause like, I can't, man. I can't. Thank you to all of you. Stay odd, stay happy. Don't bring things back from the dead. Don't gene splice animals. Don't dump chemicals down in the sewer. If you have a puppet, a bunch of puppets that are living on their own, don't turn on them because they will fucking kill your ass. So there should be another fucking lesson we're learning here. Don't prank your friends as a serial killer. Be careful to never accept random ingredients. But most of all, I will see you next time. Bye-bye. I only wanted my Elsa to be happy.